Cool. Thank you for joining me
That's all right.
again.
No.
Basically, first question I want to ask is what steps have led you to running for guild president with Progress?
So essentially, I've run for guild president with Progress and a new ticket because, look, I think we need to see some change in our guild. Unfortunately, students don't have much faith in our guild, and we only have to look at some of the online Facebook pages associated with the UWA, UWA confessions, UWA memes, and look, I think we need to. The guild has great capacity to represent students, but it needs to be fixed up. And unfortunately, one of the main things is many people see student politics as a bit of a farce. I saw that in my first year to run as an OGC candidate, and look, I had to decline that for other reasons. But when I did go to vote, there were 300 people on the ballot, and then the following year it was a similar situation, and this year we've got 246 candidates. And so you can understand why students are frustrated in the guild, and look, Progress wants to help change that and help to restore students' faith.
Sure, because I think it is like common thought that the guild is quite an insular body, and it's the same kind of students all connecting with each other, staying within like a bubble. So, how do you propose to, on a practical level, take down this sort of like insular nature of the guild?
Sure, look, it is a bit insular. I'm going to admit that, and it seems to be the same people going around and around again. Look, at the current moment, it's incredibly hard for other voices to be heard from the guild. I've actually got the ballot paper here. We've given this as a sticker. It's twice the size of my head, and that just makes it really hard for any independent or different voices to be heard other than the major parties. So one of the major things Progress wants to do is limit tickets to nominating 13 OGC positions, because currently Stars nominated 112 candidates this year. Watch has nominated 84, and we just compare that to Curtin, who've nominated 23 total across all their tickets. And that's one major thing. And look, we're also looking at introducing term limits for office bearers, so more people get voice. We get to see a bit more variety and some new ideas to really help students.
Sure. When you say term limits, does that mean like an office bearer only serves for like half a year and then it's like a re-election, or what do you mean by that?
Sure. Look, we envisage, obviously we will need to consult with the student body on this, but look, I'm envisioning that, office bearers have their one shot at whatever position they're interested in, and, they get their shot, and then we make way for someone new. And it's not to discredit any of the work of, the previous office bearers, but look, currently when student faith in the guild's really low, and we've seen some, I guess some failures from our guild to stand up for students, we do need to see some new voices.
Sure. Star has been on council consistently, for quite a long time. And at least in a few recent years, Launch has kind of run on this sort of platform of we're a new face, we're different, we're going to change everything because we're new and we know what works and what doesn't. Progress is kind of tapping into a similar thing, but what do you think makes Progress different in that sense?
Progress is different. We're not going to run to take over the guild this year. We realise that, it's going to be really hard for us to do that. And look, I think Progress is proposing some different changes to help restore faith. One of the major things, our plan to, fix up the guild election system. Unfortunately, no other party will propose that. No other party has proposed that. although there's been some little rumours about liberation, but um, not to the degree that we are. So that's some change on the flip side. But look, we're also proposing other practical reforms. So one of the major things we want to do as well is unified submission times to 11:59 p.m. Now, this is really simple, but a simple but achievable outcome for students. And, it'll make things much easier. You don't have to remember, oh, shit, excuse me, that was due at 8 a.m., that's due at 9, that's due at 12, 1. I'm not lying, that's all the different submission times I've had, plus more just this semester. And, it's a simple common sense reform. And in terms of other things, we're also proposing, a revolutionary club funding arrangement where we're going to release $500,000 to our clubs so they can run a vibrant club scene. So these are some different ideas that we haven't really seen from the other major parties. So that's what we're trying to do. And look, it's achievable.
Sure.
And that's the main thing.
You kind of touched on earlier there about the sort of things like the ballot paper, kind of the like negative election culture. What have you thought of the recent findings and actions taken by the Electoral Cultural Working Group? And do you think these are sort of stepping in the right direction? Like, what do you think about the findings and the actions taken there?
To be honest, I don't think the Express Lane is going to sort everything out. I've just got to be honest with you. Look, those rules are going to be broken. I just know it. I know it's going to be on Monday. Some people get caught there. I think if we actually want to address the culture, it's how combative your politics has become and not about students. So there needs to be an actual cultural change within the parties, within the people running, and then we can start to restore students' faith. I guess that's where I come from. And look, I think we just need to see a different voice, a different perspective that'll really help our children.
Sure. In the debate, you mentioned that you haven't been advertising your party in the same ways other parties have, with the paper, social media. You guys don't have a website. How have you been advertising, and how have you sort of given that plan to reach students to let them know about you guys?
So that's a deliberate decision on our part. Look, we recognise that the blackout did end Friday 5 p.m. But we realise people are going to be bombarded. They're going to hear a lot from the major parties. I think, and they were at our lectures all through the week. There were flyers everywhere along in lecture halls. And look, Progress is trying something different. We're using word of mouth. We use the debate, obviously, and we're going to use social media a lot. So we launched our Facebook page last night, and we're intentionally focusing on social media because that's where people are, but also it doesn't interfere with your life. You can still go to your lecture and learn, which is the main thing you're there for. And that's what we're trying to do, I guess. In terms of advertising Progress, we're going to be releasing all our policies over the next week or so. And yeah, so if people want to stay in touch with Progress, it's Progress for UWA. They can just search on Facebook and give us a like, and we'll be releasing everything over the next weekend and through the week.
Sure, absolutely. So you guys haven't run in kind of like the same way as the other parties. Do you see Progress as a party that will, it's getting its roots in this year and is going to be a long-term kind of thing?
For sure, definitely. Look, we recognise that it's incredibly hard to get a new ticket up, especially with how established the student politics culture is at UWA. Compared to other campuses, we've had a very entrenched two-party system, and Left Action and also there. But yeah, it's been very entrenched, and we're going to be realistic. We're not going to, take over the guild, Friday morning.
Mm.
We we're not kidding ourselves. But look, we can make small changes, and that first starts by electing our wonderful guild councillors like Tim Mason, who is really passionate about, students' issues and making sure students are heard. And then we can start to see the cultural change. But look, we're not going to kid ourselves. We're not going to, on Friday, Thursday night, be celebrating we've just taken over the UWA Student Guild. First time it's gone to another ticket in, I think it's about 7 years.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and then Stars had it for many years. Before that, we're not kidding ourselves. But look, we're going to put our agenda out there, and students will listen to it and look, realise there is a change. There is a change that can be had. There's people willing to implement it, and look, it'll just be gradual over the next couple of years.
Sure. What do you want to change about the way that council operates and functions?
Well, look, currently, because of things like the ballot, it's very hard for independent and smaller party voices to get onto Guild Council. So having 246 candidates does make it hard for, Progress, who has about 6 candidates for OGC, 5 6. But so that's one first step. And also making sure that the Guild Council is active and telling us about what they're doing. I do like the UWA Guild Facebook page, but would like to hear a little bit more.
Sure.
So those are just 2 starting steps to start making things a little better on Guild Council.
Sure. So, last question for me is, why do you want to be Guild President, and why do you hope that Progress gets elected?
Yeah, sure. Well, I don't envisage myself being Guild President. I'm not going to kid myself or pretend like I'm going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, things are so entrenched, it's more than likely that one of the major 2 tickets will end up. I'm not going to kid myself about that. But look, I think we need to see change at UWA, and, things like our parking system, which, currently there's a permit parking system that means if you do get to uni at 9 a.m, you actually can't get a park. And I think that's really unfair to the students who've paid a lot of money for a student parking permit, whereas they can see, staff days are empty. So that's one of the things we want to do. We also want to listen to students, and one of the big things students have been saying is, where's Greg Streets? Where's George's Kebabs? And, all our other food trucks that were on campus while the rest was being renovated. There's a demand for that, and look, we want to bring it. We want to bring our food trucks back to UWA. In terms of other things, there's other common sense and simple reforms that we can really do. Like our 1159 policy, unified submission times, like reforming club funding, and running a one-off grant scheme, $500,000. What else is there? We also want to actually work to improve lighting around campus, and also fix some other things like the pit, for example.
Yeah.
It's full of potholes, but there's surely something that can be done. So look, we want to work with the Department of Parks and Wildlife on that. So those, I guess, our policies are very common sense, practical and achievable. So that's what I want to do. And these are commonly demanded things. So that's what I want to do if I was elected Guild President.
Sure. That's it from me. Is there anything else you'd like to add very quickly?
I'd just like to maybe add that, look, currently you've got a guild that currently works more for student politicians than students. So, look, if you want to see some real change, some common sense reforms like I've outlined, vote for a news ticket with a different way of thinking. I encourage everyone to vote Progress.
Cool. Thank you very much, Jess.
Cool. Thanks, Sophie.
See ya.
Cheers.